Oi oi! Hello and welcome to another GG.CO.UK trends video, again kindly sponsored by Boyle Sports. This time we're looking at the big one. It is the Grand National at Aintree. Takes place on Saturday the 5th of April. We won't be seeing the Gold Cup winner, I know the way you're thinking, who was a very strong favourite for this race. He's going to sidestep the festival this year, the Aintree festival this year. His trainer has cited that as a 7-year-old, look, it might come a little bit too soon for him. And of course, he has just gone and won a Gold Cup. So look, we are missing him, but we are not missing out in quality behind. There are some phenomenal horses that will still be lining up, or potentially still be lining up. I'll run through a few of these at the top of the market. We have Intense Raffles, he's 6-1 at the time of recording. Iroko, 7-1. Stumptown, 8-1. I Am Maximus, last year's winner, 8-1. Hewick, 12-1. Vanillier, 11-1. Percival de Gauloi's 12-1. Nick Rocket's 14-1, and it's 20-1 bar those. Now, where I touched on, I know the way you're thinking, maybe this comes a little bit too soon for him. We have had a recent 7-year-old winner, which came from Noble Yates, a 50-1 poke. He kind of skews the figures that I'll talk about within here because he was such a big priced runner. But those first two that I mentioned, Intense Raffles and Iroko, are both 7-year-olds. So does that mean that they now have no chance? Well, I'm going to tell you. So there will be a link in the description to the full written article. In there, I detail bits of information to do with age, to do with price, ratings and weight, what they did last time out, their form at Aintree, their form this season, headgear angles and jockey angles too. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to give you a summary of what I would class as the key trends to try and profile the winner of the Grand National. So it has changed complexion. 1839 was the first run in. I mean, it's still the most valuable jumps race in Europe, but we do only have a field of 32 now. And I say only, it's still a big sized field. We've had the distance reduced from 4 mile 4 down to 4 mile 3.5. Then it's come down even further to 4 mile 2.5. So where I've compared some of these trends, I've looked at this century. I've also looked at the last 8 renewals since the new distance came in. Let's get stuck into what I would class as the key trends to find in this year's Grand National winner. So they're most likely to be aged 8 to 11 years old, but recently no older than 9. So since 2015, there hasn't been a winner of this race older than 9. And I did touch on Noble Yates being a 7-year-old winner. He's the only 7-year-old winner this century. 55 horses have tried. There'll be potentially a few that try this time round. So we'd say for the key trend there, they want to be 8 to 11 years old. But maybe if you were going to be biased, you'd say 8 or 9. Also, 8-year-olds have got the highest win strike rate. And also they've got the highest play strike rate. In recent years, they've got the second highest play strike rates. 11-year-olds have done okay. But look, 8-year-olds seem to be the absolute holy grail sweet spot. Favourites are actually profitable to back blind, and most winners of this race are 14-1 or shorter. Now, I've touched on Noble Yates. There's been horses like Mon Mom. There's been lots of big prize winners of this race. And while we may want to find it being the Grand National, it is true that most winners are 14-1 or shorter. Especially when we get down to the real short price favourites. I remember Cloth Cap a good few years back. He was 11-2. He was apparently £8 well in. He pulled up in the race. But then you do get horses like Tiger Roll. He's gone off at 4-1, the shortest price of any Grand National favourite this century. And Julia Blige. So again, it is dependent on the horse. But you'd say that looking towards the top of the market wouldn't be the worst thing to do. But then, is there any fun in that? Look to horses carrying less than 11 stone. Now, this has been a trend that's been the same pattern across this century and in the last ace, that it is prevalent for winners to carry less than 11 stone. It isn't, however, profitable to back blind on its own. Also looking at horses that are rated between 146 and 150. That's quite a small window, but I think it's found 6 of the last 8 winners, and it's found plenty of winners this century too. So that does look like quite a niche sweet spot. But of course, when you've got 32 runners in there, depending on who turns up each year, whether that needs to be 100% box ticked or not will be open to your interpretation. You can squeeze these trends and facts when we look at the final fields to suit who you want to side with, I guess. What's interesting is they probably haven't run at Aintree, or if they have, they haven't run there more than twice. Now, all of the last 8 winners had either run there no times or once or twice. I think it's 4 horses had run there no times. The other 4 had run there once or twice. Even when we go down to this century, most winners have run 2 or fewer times at Aintree. There have been some horses that have won that have had more runs at the track, but there seems to be a little bit of a sweet spot. I think you really want to be looking for horses that either haven't run at Aintree before, or they've had 1 or 2 runs, but they've also won at Aintree too. So again, that's detailed in the article written below. Another one that I found that was interesting, I thought, was they're likely to have been ridden by the jockey that's riding them again, but they haven't actually won under that jockey. That is a system that's profitable to back blind. So obviously there's three scenarios. A horse is ridden by a jockey that they've won under, a jockey they haven't won under, or a jockey that they've never been under at all. There's actually more horses or more runners at the Grand National that are having a first-time jockey than being ridden by a jockey that hasn't won a race on them. However, if you backed all of those horses that had a jockey on that had been on them before but hadn't won, you would make money. The other stat is most likely they have not run in the Grand National before. So I talked about Iron Maximus that's coming back to win a title. Of course, we've had Tiger Roll do it. It doesn't mean it's impossible, but most winners haven't run in a Grand National before. So look, I'm going to keep this short and sweet. There's a link in the description for the full written article. Appreciate your guys' support. We'll be back with more content like this throughout the season. Make sure you're liking the video. Make sure you drop a comment below with who you think wins this year's Grand National, and make sure you're subscribed to the GG.CO.UK YouTube channel.